welcome back to the Old Time Fiddler. Last month's guest was Libby Whitenauer, and I just learned before we hit record that this month's guest occasionally takes a fiddle lesson with Libby. So please welcome to our show, Sophie Wellington.
Hey,
Sophie, where are you in the world as of this recording?
I'm in Boston where I'm kind of loosely based these days.
Awesome. Where did you grow up and start making music?
I grew up in Stanton, Virginia, and I started making music there in a variety of outlets. Both of my parents are professional musicians, um, in old time and classical music and children's music. So I was put in a lot of performance and community music settings from a young age.
That's so cool. So if our viewers want to check out your parents' music, like what's an easy way that they can listen to and enjoy some of your folks' music?
Oh yeah, well, my dad's name is Bill Wellington, and he has a project called Radio Woof, which is on streaming platforms and YouTube and whatnot. And it's children's music that includes stories and songs, and it's in a radio show like format. So he's got different segments. Each track is kind of like, now we're gonna hear from this whatever. And and he's also a square dance caller and does the odd square and contra dance, um, either around New England, where he's based half the time, or in Stanton. He's in both places. And then my mom, she doesn't have recorded music available online very much, but you can see her play concerts in and around Stanton, Virginia, where she's based. Her name is Lynn Mackey, and she's a contemporary pianist. So
That's so cool. I have warm, fuzzy feelings for Stanton, Virginia, because that's where my guitar was made.
yeah, Hudson Belton, right? Yeah.
I love this thing. It's my forever guitar.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it's
so
very
is
special.
is little young Sophie on some of those Bill Wellington projects?
Yeah. On the most recent one, which is called Wolf Goes Back to School, all the albums are themed, and there are like eight of them. And A Wolf Goes Back to School, I was on it at like 8 or 9 years old.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be listening to more and more of that with my children. I knew you had told me about him previously, but now after this conversation, we're gonna be listening to your dad with some of you on it too. Um,
Yeah.
as you know, the focus of this chat is on old time dance fiddling and jam fiddling, but I also like to just kind of check in with all of you who are touring artists, like what you've been up to as a touring musician and whatever that might look like. So before we get super nerdy about square dance fiddling, old time jam fiddling, like give people a sense of like what Sophie's been touring and doing for the past year-ish. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, sure. Well, I tour mainly as a part of Willie Carlisle's band. Willie Carlisle is a songwriter and musician and square dance caller and poet and playwright and more. And I'm a part of the band that brings his music around the country, and also we've toured some internationally.
Wow.
I play fiddle and I flatfoot in the band. I also play saxophone in the band. And there are a lot of theatrical elements as well that I'm really happy to be a part of. His music is powerful in that it brings people together, and that's happening through original composition and really eloquent and um, sophisticated lyrical composition. And also, he's an old-time fiddler and banjo player and fabulous accordion player and more. And so, there's a lot of elements of old time in the structure and the form of the music. And it's really fun to play as an old time fiddler with a band where, when I'm taking a break, a lot of the times my solo, I'll think like, okay, this is an A. I'm gonna play an A tune. And because the other members of the band, so Willie and then our counterpart, Sam Armstrong Zickfoos in
Oh, I know Sam.
Chemical. Yeah. So they're a fabulous musician and they play banjo and mandolin and bouzouki and guitar in the band. And because both of them are also conversational, if not fluent in old time, I can play a tune for my break. And they'll be like, "Oh my God, it's Hylar's Farewell," or they'll be like, "Ooh, I know that tune," and that's been really fun. And when I'm not on tour with a band, I am teaching at camps like those affiliated with CDSS, the Country Dance and Song Society. So I was at three CDSS camps this summer, along with the Acadia Festival of Traditional Music and Dance in Bar Harbor, Maine. And I'm primarily teaching flat footing and fiddle and leading jams. And I also play in a country band in Boston. I play guitar for a band called the Talking Hearts, and we write original country music that's inspired by a classic sound. Um, and it features three-part harmony heavily on every song. And we play a residency gig every first Tuesday of the month. We play in Davis Square at the Burren for a honky tonk dance, and it's been really fun. So that's my main kind of circuit of what I'm doing.
That's amazing. So I have a bunch of questions that I asked Libby last time, but I have two extra questions because you're such a fantastic dancer and I love your singing.
Thank you.
So let's do the singing one first because I think we might be talking about dancing even more, but you're an exquisite singer.
Thank
And
you.
one of my favorite things as a fiddler is I love playing fiddle in an old time and also honky tonk and bluegrass and adjacent setting. But like I love playing fiddle while some wonderful singer like yourself is singing the verses and choruses of some song. I'm curious, as a singing fiddler, your perspective on, like, we're talking to a bunch of fiddlers who are watching this. As a wonderful singer, what do you want to tell fiddlers about what they maybe should think about when they're playing during a song? And we can keep it to old time or just anything nearby, but I just would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure. Well, if I were to look at it from the perspective of a fiddler jumping into a song,
Yeah.
when I've been playing with Willie, one of the things I've noticed as an old time fiddler is I'm in an old time setting. I'm playing the melody. I'm looking for how to jump in and lock in with the melody. But if someone is singing a song and my job is to fill the space or carve out space for the song to sing, I notice that a lot of the time I'm jumping in on the melody note and I'm on top of it, or I'm playing while the melody is happening and then there's a fill space and I don't play there. And those are really interesting things to observe my tendency um, from that new space and perspective. So I would say that it's a valuable way to interact with creating space, um, to listen for what someone else is doing and interact with that as opposed to just kind of fit in the way that we think the role of the fiddle should in an old time setting. Like, same idea with seconding, like playing fiddle things for someone who's playing the melody or being in a jam with a lot of fiddles, like knowing how to add something that's not just kind of using the same color over and over and over and kind of blurring what the picture is that we're all trying to make together. And I also think volume is a big part of it. Like it's very easy playing an instrument where the sound is right here that, we don't realize how loud or soft we're playing. And it also depends on like where you're playing in the register, like how much space you're taking up, how much bowing, like what's the bowing pattern you're doing? Is it busy? Would it add more to create space by, you know, doing small fills or thinking about how to use the instrument as a tool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are such great points. I know, like, when we pursue old time fiddle as a passion and a career, even, we're so focused on the melody. And my gateway into playing for singers and playing kind of respectfully during songs rather than just trampling on the singer started at the Swananoa Gathering as a student in like 1999 or 2000. Ginny Hawker and Tracy Shores were there
Mhm.
teaching country music, classic honky tonk, and also like Hazel Dickens songs. Um, and I would sit at the very edge of these singing jam circles, and I would, as quietly as possible, I would find the melody of the singing because that was a skill I'd already developed learning tunes. But then I would notice what Tracy would play during his fiddle break when he got one, and if and when they threw one to me, I would try to take the map of the melody I had just made because I didn't know any of the repertoire yet. It was like all these Stanley Brothers songs, Hazel Dickens songs that summer, they were new to me. They're now like some of my favorite music. But I would have made a very quick sketch as quietly as possible in the back on the melody and then try if I got a solo to like re-say that or like, do something inspired by that melody in my eight measure or whatever little break that referenced the melody so people could tell what song I was playing a break on, but also not feel like I had to just play it like Ed Haley played it, which was kind of the world I was inhabiting beforehand. And ever since then, 25 years since, I have spent a lot more time crafting solos and fills and things. But I remember entering the like playing during singing from still a melody driven place, but at least it allowed me to like find the melody quickly, and I had to keep it quiet because otherwise you're stealing the spotlight from Ginny Hawker or Tracy Shores while they're singing, which is not very nice or musical. But it's a whole new world using some of the skills we learn learning these tunes, I feel like.
Totally. And I think there's a lot that you can draw from, we're listening, we have access to listen to pretty much any type of music that we want at this time. And just because we're old time musicians doesn't mean that we have to do everything from an old time lens. You can borrow from different styles of music if it's not just like a loud jam. And even in a loud jam, there are lots of ways to interact musically with other people and collaborate.
Yeah, that's great. All right, I'm gonna put our old time boundaries up, not barriers, but boundaries up, and just the rest of the conversation will mostly be about the genre that you and I both play and love. Do you remember at what age you began playing the violin and the fiddle in particular?
Yeah, I kind of started really young and then I took a big break.
Okay.
I was started with Suzuki for like 1 year when I was like 3 years old, and I remember just being like, this is really dumb. And part of what was dumb about it for me was because I was surrounded by old time jams and I was at contra dances and in, Irish music settings too. And it was just kind of like this style of playing and the rigidity of it. Same thing with like ballet and like specific dance classes
Yeah.
that required a kind of focus on technique really early on. It just wasn't my style. Um, in fact, that's the same across every instrument. Like I took piano lessons and I play the piano, but I don't play in the style that I took lessons. I took like, but like all of the things that I do now that I'm interested in have been more of a like I find myself in the instrument and then I find technique once I feel like I have a better perspective of what I want to use that instrument to say. And so I um I then kind of picked up the fiddle when I was in high school, like when I was like 15, 16, but that was very much like I would scratch my way through a tune with my dad and kind of get an idea of it. And then I was like, okay, great, put it down, come back to it, put it down. And my main outlet for playing melodic music was like playing alto saxophone. I played that for like years before I picked up the fiddle.
Okay.
And I did it very seriously. Like I was playing it in college too. I was taking improv lessons in a small, like, focus group in my town where we would work together to kind of understand that, not just the theory, but like the practical approach.
Right.
Um, and so that was like my main, besides singing, which was like my biggest outlet. Um, Saxophone was like my main melodic instrument that I played. And then I was I kind of became more and more interested in fiddle as I just my dad bought one for me at Cliff Top that was like 400 bucks, and I played it for a few years, and then I ended up trading it to somebody and getting a different one. Actually, I'm good pals with my friend Sam Franklin, who still plays my first fiddle, which is fun.
Yeah.
And it was great, but it was kind of like as I was able to get better and better instruments, I kind of understood my sound. And a big transition for me was like my main community outlet for my like end of high school and a lot of like my early 20s um, was contra dancing. And I was really avidly interested in it. I would go like 3 times a week. And also like blues dancing, swing dancing, lots of partner dancing. That was the way that I made friends. That was the way that I expressed myself. And through that time, I kind of like, it was like a gradual increase in interest for fiddle until I kind of began to understand how it felt to be a part of the music and expressing myself through the music that was driving the dance. And then also, I found a group of friends that I really resonated with in the old time community and at festivals like Mount Airy and Cliff Top and Elk Creek, and also in my like general area. And those friendships and that interest kind of drove me to be more intrigued with the music. And then, like, I would go back and play tunes with my dad, and I would get really involved in listening to something. And that's what really started to build my interest in tunes is that I found myself in a community that I was inspired to play in. And and then, like everybody has probably with their fiddle, like I would have bowing breakthroughs, or somebody would give me a bootleg tape of somebody I really appreciated listening to, and I would just like zone in on that. And then when I started going to Berkeley in 2017, I did my first year in Valencia, Spain, and I
Was
was
Casey Dreesen there doing his thing already?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't really overlapping because he was involved in the graduate school program and also he's
Oh,
like crazy busy. Um, but yeah, that's when Casey was there. And so I brought my fiddle over and I just spent a lot of time in practice rooms playing by myself. And I was really grateful to have friends over in Spain at that time. Like I spent some time with Mitch Depew, who's my very good friend. And we've kept in touch since then, but he gave me a few recordings. He like shared some of like my first experiences listening to Bruce Greene, and it really expanded my interest. And I didn't have a phone data plan, so I would just like download all this music and walk around the city and just be like blasting Bruce Greene and like Christian Wig and all these like really great musicians. Brad Leftwich, I would like listen on repeat to his like old time Round Peak fiddle tunes
okay.
album that he did accompanying his book.
Yeah.
And I just like zoned in really hard. And then when I came back to the States after being in Spain, it was like, oh my gosh, I have all these friends to like hang out with and play these tunes. And it really ramped up my interest in like the community aspect after having been removed from that. And so then when I started going to Berkeley, I made connections with Bruce Molsky and I started taking like weekly sign up lessons with him because fiddle wasn't my auditioned instrument at Berkeley. My degree is in jazz singing. And so that was my world, was doing like jazz theory and um, functional practical harmony, jazz harmony, and but then I kind of I still tried to take these lessons as much as possible. Then I started helping Zach Meyer, my bandmate and pal, lead and weekly old time jam, and I went like every week for like a year. And that really changed that like elevated my chops a lot on being able to like hang and lead tunes and understand the function of like a public and open jam like that it's like the community building and how to make it the best that it can be depending on like who's there every week, which is different, how to be a consistent member of that and the importance of showing up for that. And yeah, that's kind of what led me to start doing more teaching. I think like my first teaching opportunity was at Augusta, where I was just like kind of there as an extra musician to help out. And then I started to be hired there as a flat-footing teacher and then had other teaching opportunities. So that's kind of like what built me into what I'm doing now. Um, that was like a long answer to your first question, which was when did you start? But
That was
yeah.
incredible. I'm curious. So I do want to talk to Sophie, the flat foot dancer, but
But whatever.
I would also like to talk to Sophie, who has played for dances, uh,
Yeah.
and then Sophie, who has led jams and been in jams. So you choose which of these three topics that I want to cover. Uh, Playing for square dancers, being a dancer, both percussive and social, playing in jams. You choose our adventure. What are we going to talk about first?
I mean, I have a lot of opinions on all of those things, and I'm happy to talk about all of them.
That's why we're
Um,
here.
if we were
But
starting with square dances, like it's really crucial, I think, as a fiddler to like um be really clear
yeah,
and be locked in with like keeping the groove up, holding it.
right.
Like it's really for me like that kind of fiddling feels like when you're like hyperventilating and you don't exhale. It's like the inhale is kind of it just feels like you're holding something. Like you have to hold it
Yeah,
and then you put it down when it's done. And that versus contra dancing is very different. Like contra, you can really like take more breaths because people are
right,
a part of the music in a way where they're maintaining the form, they're maintaining it, and you also have a rhythm section that's more expansive
right,
and more interpretive
right,
of the tune. And so like the difference for me with square dance fiddling versus like contra dance fiddling is like the fiddle player has to keep at it because the melody is king, you know? And I also play a lot of guitar for square dances.
right.
My feeling about playing guitar for a square dance is like same thing, like you kind of gotta hold it, but the difference is that you're holding what the fiddler is doing in a container
Yep,
and allowing and like there is kind of a for me a shaping of that like um I work a lot with Isa Burke. We've been uh as friends, but also I was really lucky to spend a week with her at a camp this summer where we were able to talk a lot about guitar playing, and I really like how she put it where like for timing it's like the downbeat I think of as like in the center of the beat, in the very center. And then the offbeat is, I think, the thing that gets calibrated depending on what the fiddler and what the dancers are doing. If it's
agreed.
a groovier dance that's gonna sit differently than if it's like
Just very
if
forward.
it's
Yeah,
leaning forward or backwards.
yeah,
And I find that for those kinds of like for calibrating that as both a fiddler but also a guitarist who's like trying to make space for the fiddle to exist, like those things have been heavily informed by my flat footing because when I'm flat footing, I'm trying to be really locked into what the banjo is doing, what the guitar is doing, and what the bass is doing so that I'm a part of the rhythm section.
Right.
And like that just requires an active brain when it comes to like, okay, I'm going to time the choice that I'm going to make and I'm going to think about like not only the event, but the thing that comes before it and after it. And
Right.
I don't know, like I could go on and on about like rhythm section and locking into that and how it affects the fiddle tune.
I think we should after the following, because Zoom, where we're having this conversation, is not ideal for making great videos of you playing or me playing. Sophie is going to record for us some vertical videos that you can link to below. And here's the first prompt: what is a fiddle tune in 4/4 time that you love to play for square dances and flat footers? Like, what's just like a gut level D tune, A tune, G tune, C tune? Doesn't matter the key, but like, what are they going to watch you play in the link below? Like, just like great dance tune that you just play the snot out of.
Um, well, I like to play square dances in D or A. I think that
Same,
can be really fun. I mean,
same.
G is great too.
Yeah,
It depends. I played an hour and a half square dance recently that was like at a festival. It was like a festival slot. And it was like, okay, you guys are gonna do an like I'm used to like an hour and sometimes maybe a quick 30 minutes, but we got done with an hour and then it was like, okay, 30 more minutes. And it was like, let's just go to G. So um, but to answer your question, like I really like something that's where the bowing, I like round peak tunes for dances and I like Midwestern tunes for dances because the bowing style is really driving.
yeah,
Like it's dance music,
totally.
right? And of course, like when you take a round peak tune and you slow it down and you like figure out the syncopated intricacies of that bowing style, you're like, holy shit, this is so funky. But like it's funky so that you can kind of like cut corners and
Yeah.
make it easy to play fast. And
Right.
so I really like tunes like I like round peak tunes. Um I like tunes where the B part is shorter than the A part.
Yeah.
I like tunes like, I mean, I don't know. I like, well, I've been playing this tune recently that isn't like, it's a traditional tune, but I've been putting it in Calico and it's like a version of Down the Road and it has a different chord structure and the B part is short. And it just, I played it over the summer at Old Tone Folk Festival, Roots Music Festival with Dumpster Debbie, which is like my old time club band. We have drums, and so it's very like, and for square dancing, it can be super fun. But I really like this tune because it's pretty and
Yeah.
and it's driving, and I like, and also I'm gonna play it for a long time. So there's a lot I can do with the double stops in Calico that are kind of funky and it's gritty and it feels like something that I'm still discovering because I like to say that like I didn't write the tune, but I'm making the tune because I'm making it into something that I'm interested in playing and exploring. And it's also fun, it's fun to be like, okay, guys, this is a tune that you know, but we're gonna just play it different because like starting from something that you know and then doing something a little different can really excite a band that's used to doing one thing. So I've been having fun with that tune, and I'll play it for you.
Great.
Um,
So everyone stop this video and click the down the road link. And by calico, you mean AEA C# from left to right, right?
yeah, but I have a C strings and I tune it up to D. So I for all tuning for my using my 5 string fiddle, I tune in cross tunings, I leave the bottom string of like in a fifth away, right? So if I'm in calico, starting from the top, it's C sharp, A, E, A, and then D on the bottom because I like to be able to play the 4 chord on the bottom of my fiddle. It gives me a lot of play as opposed to like tuning it all the way down to an A or tuning it to a C sharp, which cool if you want to do that, but I've never had a very easy time knowing how to use that functionally,
Okay.
use that string.
This show is sponsored by Seaman Violins. Since 1989, Seaman Violins in Skokie, Illinois has offered a wide range of instruments and accessories that suit every level. Their staff comprises professional violin makers, all graduates of the esteemed Chicago School of Violin Making. Their clientele ranges from Chicagoland school kids to Andrew Bird. You can learn more by visiting SeamanViolins.com. That's SEMAN violins.com. You were about to talk about like the rhythm section as a dancer and a fiddler, and I don't want to forget that. So can we return to like you have a lot of thoughts about what you need from the rhythm section, and yeah, take it away.
Yeah, I think of it a lot when it comes to like playing get old time guitar as like that. I think of that as really like the heart of the rhythm section because it's creating these two bookends. It's determining how much space is between the downbeat and the offbeat,
Right.
and then also the offbeat and the downbeat.
And the
Like,
next downbeat, yeah.
and that's what I was saying is that I want like the downbeat to be in the same place every time, and then the offbeat is the thing that shifts depending on like you know how a planet can be in orbit, but it doesn't have to be in a perfect circle. It can be in orbit and come a little farther and then come back to center and then a little farther. And that's part of what's amazing about music when it comes to like it's defying physics in that it's like skipping a rock, right? Like it hits and then it has to bounce. If it's too heavy, it's going to sink. If it's too light, it's not going to like it's not going to make enough contact to then bounce up. But the difference is that we can keep it going forever. And in order to do that, we kind of have to trick the brain into playing a little bit outside,
Right.
right? Like we've all been in a jam where the fiddle's like dun 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 dun. It's like, okay, let's like we gotta like you have to kind of have the jump
Right.
I think as the guitar player to plan on landing in the same place, even if the offbeat isn't in the same place.
Right.
And so I think that like that's really at the heart of what I'm listening for is where's that offbeat? And when
Right.
I'm dancing, I don't sacrifice the offbeat even I try not to even when I'm doing like an extra thing with like a toe or a heel or like holding something on one side of my body or doing a repeated little pattern or a syncopation thing like I'm really trying to keep the offbeat happening even when that's happening because it contextualizes the dance and makes it a part of the rhythm section as opposed to filling the container and making it like okay the music is happening and I'm dancing on top of it. Like, I don't want that to happen. I want to be dancing as a part of the music, and the melody and the fiddle can be on top of it. So that also comes from like locking in with the whoever's playing banjo, like whoever's playing 16th notes, wherever that's happening, everybody has to agree that that is happening, at the right swing.
Right.
And that's one thing that I feel like when I'm teaching flat footing to people, that it's like a mind expander when you start to realize, like, oh, the difference between like shukadapa, 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 and shukadapa, 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 shuk. But that's the kind of thing that, as a vocalist and doing jazz stuff, that I'm thinking about all the time. I'm thinking about locking in with the band and like how I count things off, you know? So at the end of the day, it's just music. It's like a language that we have to agree upon. We have to
Right.
agree that this word means this and that like this joke makes sense. Um, and yeah, I've found that learning to dance has helped me in my music, and then being a musician has really helped me learn to dance. And I'm really inspired by musicians and dancers that are trying to kind of bridge the gap between music and dance as separate when
Right.
or percussive dance specifically. And some of the people I'm really inspired by are like Nick Garris, who I work regularly with, and who I would say is a huge influence in not only my dancing, but also and my musicianship, but also in the way that I see the world of music. And yeah, they're um, someone I deeply respect. And also Caleb Teicher, who's a fabulous swing dancer and tap dancer and musician and drummer. And they're based out of Brooklyn, and they do really fabulous work with bringing dance into a musical space and music back into dance.
Oh, that's so cool. I don't know Caleb, but I know Nick. I've known Nick since we were children, and they, like you, have this. I feel like Sophie and Nick both have this magical thing that you do where it seems like you bring a trampoline around with you, and when you dance, your ups seem to have a little bit more energy than gravity would suggest, which is pretty darn cool. I love your dancing and theirs as well. Yeah, wow. Before we talk about jamming, I do want to ask you one more partner dance related question relevant to this podcast. Every guest has to tell me a waltz they like to play for the waltzing portion of a dance. So, could you tell us a waltz that you love to fiddle, and then maybe we'll watch a video of you fiddling it in the vertical orientation after this?
Sure. I play my go-to waltz to play is Goodbye, My Little Darling,
I don't even know
which
that.
is a tune that I learned from Aaron Allwell,
Hmm.
who was like, I don't know what this is. I think it's just some Cajun waltz. And then
Oh,
I like went around for like 2 years being like, here's a Cajun waltz I know. I don't know what it's called. And then I'd play it and people would be like, cool. And then I played it for Jesse Leger, who's like a fabulous, fabulous Cajun musician, accordion builder, accordion player.
I know Jesse. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he was like, that's not Cajun. I was like, oh, okay. And then I hung out with Howard Raines and I played it for him and he was like, oh, that's a tune called Goodbye, My Little Darling. And I recorded it with Trisha and I was like, oh my gosh, great, yay. And it's from South Texas and Howard got it from Mike Seeger. Actually, I pulled up the source for this a little like a minute ago. It's worth it because it's a cool story. Okay. Yeah, Mike Seeger learned it from a recording of Louis Props that Alan Jabor made. And it's crooked, which is cool
Walters
because
don't care.
waltzers don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about it is, so waltzes are in six or two. They're not in three, right? So like that will get screwed up. And what I mean by that is if you teach someone how to waltz and you say, okay, it's in three, you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. People are going to look stupid if they're doing the Viennese waltz. If they're doing a Cajun waltz, they won't look weird because that is in three. That's bump, dun, 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 dun,
Right.
dun, dun. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3.
Right.
Viennese waltz is 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1. There's two big steps and then little steps in the middle. And even those little steps don't constitute a vertical weight change. They're just suspended. One, hold, hold, one, hold, hold, right? You're holding at the top like a pendulum.
Yeah.
So because it's in two, if I'm playing a crooked tune and it goes do 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 do. So if waltzers are taught, okay, you're holding like if I'm the follow and we're gonna start the waltz going in the direction of our held hands, and
Right.
that's the one.
Right.
And then in the middle, you go crooked. Then all of a sudden, people are going 1, 2,
They're
3,
going the opposite
2,
way.
3. This is why I'm using a rocking chair. 1, 2, 3, 2, right? So they're actually flipped. But it flipped, I mean, and that might throw people off.
But the
Just to be,
heartbeat is
I
still
mean,
there. The heartbeat
thanks
has.
for letting me get nerdy. But the thing that I love about this waltz is that because it has this ability to be like ding it can be felt in both ways. And I like to play with that as a fiddler, to play it in both like do like the way that the waltz phrases are structured is in three more than in six.
Right.
Like like Libby was talking about the Swan and Oa waltz.
Yeah.
Like that that is I think of more as a 6/8 timing than a 3/4 timing because like do 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 do
Okay. Yeah.
like do 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 as opposed to do 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 do. Um, and you can do a lot of fun stuff with the um, bow. The other thing I like about this waltz is that it's very easy to teach a band on the fly. And that's the best dance tune that you can choose. Something
Yes.
that you can communicate the chords about.
Yes.
Like that's the other job of a dance fiddler is speaking the language, being conversational in it, not just being like music being a language. Like you can read it, you can write it. If you can speak it and then you can comprehend. And speaking and comprehending are the most important if you're playing a dance, is not only being able to understand what the music is doing, but express what you want from the rhythm section as a fiddler. Super important.
That's amazing. Okay. I know we only have a couple minutes left, and I want to hear your thoughts about jamming, but I want to hold here for a second and legit like recognize you're not only a musician, but you're like a scientist and philosopher of all this stuff, and it's extraordinary to get to talk to you. I love this.
Yeah, it's so fun. Thanks for having me.
You referenced, and I for full disclosure for everyone, I met Sophie. Was that summer of 2024 that you stopped by our house?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we met for the first and only time in person and had a lovely jam, and you got to meet my family, and we were out back. um I knew I liked your music, but it's such a treat to get to talk to you about this stuff because I understand even more why I like your music because you're so thoughtful about it. And you said early in this chat today about the community building aspect of jamming. And so before we go, more than anything, I want to hear your philosophy of what makes a jam succeed. And I mean, like, socially. I'm not like, yes, we'll talk about the music, but like, feel free to just lay it on us. Like, what makes a jam work? And maybe say in your mind what makes it not work, because I think you have some thoughts and some stories there that you might want to share with us.
Sure. Are you talking about like a weekly regular open jam in a community
It can
or
go wherever you
a
want. Like,
jam
I,
at a festival?
yeah, I mean, I know you have experience at a regular jam, and so that's kind of where I'm going. But I'm also thinking about, like you, I've led jams for a while, and sometimes that's a one-off thing, just like at a gathering. And feel like some of the same dynamics apply versus that regular community building, like Baltimore has their like weekly thing they've been doing for years. So either way you want to go, because some of it's the same, but then some of it's not, as you were saying about like kind of committing to going back. It's an open canvas for you.
Well, yeah. As far as like the weekly jam,
Yeah.
ours in Boston has been really successful because of how it grows because of who goes.
Yeah.
And people go because it is engaging and different, but it also has its own thumbprint, right? Like, so one thing I can say about the structure that's cool is that, so Zach Meyer runs that now, and he does that coordinating with Riley Mullaney, who's a really fabulous musician. Riley grew up playing music with their parents, who are old time musicians in New Mexico, and Riley's sister Maddie is down in Nashville. And
Ooh,
they're just like really fabulous musicians.
right.
Zach has kind of a commitment. He has a commitment to doing it every week in a way that makes it possible for people to come and play a high caliber set of tunes that are different and interesting. And um, he does that by ensuring that someone is playing guitar who he can count on.
Yeah.
And if they're not there, he brings a guitar and he plays it. And that like that's what was always the thing is like we determined like if like there are folks who come who we can really count on being great, strong guitar players. And I don't mean playing perfectly, I mean playing flexibly and playing consistently.
Right.
And then having a group of fiddlers that also can do that, but at least one person who can lead the tunes. Like the generation of the jam has to happen with like someone being good at guitar and someone being good at fiddle. And I'm not talking about like someone being good at it, it's like good at leading stuff.
Yes.
And the jam has been kind of an opportunity for people to get better at doing those things.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of growth in the people who come every week, and there are people who have been coming every week for a really long time now. And the other thing that's cool about it is that we have kind of um, we have a system in place where every week for the past 3 years or so, we've been writing down what tunes we played every week.
Yeah.
And there are nerds in the group who have created a database and a
I love it.
website of our jam tunes.
Mhm.
The the data that's included is how many times have we played these tunes over the course of whatever? How many new tunes do we play in a year? Um, and then we can go back and people fill in where do these tunes come from? Who led the tune? Like there's a real commitment to making a fingerprint for what this jam is doing for the old time music community in Boston. And so I value a lot that not only are we making a regular thing happen, but we're cataloging it and preserving it in a major and palpable way. And I really value that we're committed to doing that, that every week, even if that person who does that cataloging isn't there, that Zach is like, oh, what was the name of that tune? And we keep track of it. And if we don't know the name, we have a group chat because Zach's dad plays old time music, my dad plays old time music, and Riley's dad plays old time music. And we basically just like have a group chat where we'll like send a voice memo of the tune to the dads, and then they like have a race of who sends like what it's called first. It's really fun. It's a way of like also getting connected to an older generation of musicians. Um, and also, it's an opportunity for people to play with people they might not choose to play with at a festival because it's an
Right.
open jam.
Right.
Whereas at a festival, I think that a lot of things come into play psychologically that
Yeah.
get in the way of really enjoying the music. But the best thing I think to respond to that is just taking care of yourself in that kind of setting where you know that you're going to be given opportunities to say yes and you'll have to say no, or you're going to be given opportunities where you have to say no and you want to say yes,
Yeah.
and identifying that we're all there to enjoy ourselves and enjoy each other, and that, you got to pace yourself. I think those are the most important things that come into like jam generation at a festival as opposed to like a weekly jam.
Right. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been incredible. Sophie Mae Wellington, they are a fiddle player, a dancer, a singer, a saxophone player, a globetrotter, a philosopher, a scientist. You're amazing. Thank you
Mm.
so much for being here with us, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your two tunes.
Yeah,
Do you have
sure.
any parting words for fiddle students? Because some of the people watching this as we wrap up are, learning old time from me on Patreon for $10 a month. I teach them a new tune a new a fresh arrangement for them, and then we have some prompt in the middle of the month. But any parting words for like the fiddle learners, especially like the adult, not 4 year old learners, because they don't have YouTube yet, hopefully. Parting words for like fiddle learners who are watching this and want to be in a jam with you in the coming years or so.
Well, I would love to meet you. Um, and I would love to talk in person and share a tune or whatever. And so certainly, feel free to introduce yourselves to me and I'm happy to be friends. I think I really like this idea that old time music gets fun way before you get good. And
Yeah.
that's why it's still alive and well, because people are learning it from each other. And I think there's merit to, I really like this thought that um, the fabulous Reese Jones shared with me a while back, which is like there's merit to learning tunes from people and not just going back to like, I mean, going back to the source and knowing where it comes from has is really important, and it's great that we have those available. And also, it's an indication of a healthy and successful folk revival that we can share this music between us. It's like not a dying language that we can only read in books. It's an active and used language that's building community and sharing ideas and expressing how we feel in ways that are only possible through music. And it's also a really great way for people who might not otherwise get along with one another for whatever reason and whatever boundaries exist between people, especially in this political climate. Like, it's a way for people to listen to one another and share common interest and goals and be connected. And I think that that's a much more valuable way of spending our time than focusing on the things that uh, divide us
Right.
as a group of people. And so I'm really happy to be a part of this community. I'm really happy to have this conversation with you, Matt. Thank you for, you know, asking me these thoughtful questions and being in conversation. And I look forward to getting to know all of you out there who are tuning in. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been a treat. And you just inspired a thought in me that I hadn't had in a while, but I'll end this here. Tommy Gerald didn't have YouTube. He had older musicians he learned from or people, his peers that he learned from. And so, to Sophie's point, we are lucky to have the videos and audio recording, then the documentation, the sessionography about these previous generations. But our heroes had to do this in person, and we are continuing to do that too, because you know this music works in community with each other, not just as a musty old thing in an archive. So
Yeah,
let's all plan to meet and play some tunes and dance together next time we see each other.
yeah, sounds good.